Hi, everyone, and warm welcome to today's webinar. I am delighted that you've joined me live or with the recording. Thank you so much for making space and time for this. Before we dive into the content, I'd love to invite you to just land in your body for a few minutes so that we can arrive into this space together.
There.
I know that some people have busy, everybody has busy lives, and perhaps you've been doing something else. So just give it a moment or two to land here. Feel your feet on the floor. Relax your shoulders. Release your neck. Take a few comforting breaths into your belly. And from this place of grounding and hopefully relaxation, I wonder what your intention is for today's masterclass, or to the webinar. Sorry. So what it is that you would like to get out of this hour? What made you come forward? What's in you said, right, we need this? So that you can make conscious connections with things that you learn. And also I can tailor it to what you need rather than what I think you need. So let me know what it is that you would like to get out of this hour. What would serve you the most? There's a chat box at the bottom of your screen. If you feel moved to share, please do. Otherwise, there's absolutely no pressure. You will still get a lot out of this hour. I'll be inviting you to share throughout our time together, but again, it's entirely up to you how much you participate in the chat. So learn to connect deeper with clients, better self-care, confidence. Thank you, Lester. So I just need to mute somebody. Thank you for sharing your intentions. And if you just arrived and wondering what we're doing, we just got a minute to share what it is that you want to get out of this class today. There's a chat box at the bottom of the screen, so you're welcome to share as much or as little as you wish today. So I think there's a consensus in terms of supporting clients better, but also taking better care of yourself in the process. Great intentions. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. So before we look at ways in which you can improve on your performance, I would love for you to reflect on what is it that you are already doing well. We can so easily put our attention on what's not working or what's not quite right. It's like constantly moving target. It never ends. We can always do better, of course. But what is it that you are already doing well? Just let's start with celebration so that there's some acknowledgement of what you are already doing really well. It's so easy to overlook that piece that is already there. There is a good foundation to build on, not to be underestimated. So you're not starting from a scratch. It's not from zero. There's already some foundation that's in place. So clients having good progress, integrity, framing a session, presence, high self. Yeah, great. Listening, so important, right? Meaningful shifts. Yes, great. Safe space for clients. It's priceless. Beautiful. In a sense, you are already doing it, right? There is already good work in place. Let's see where and how we can improve things. So if you really tuned in from this place of confidence that you're actually doing a lot of good stuff already, and that you are already valuable and worthy as you are, I wonder what you could do even better. What is it that causes you a little niggle that actually, right? Like, when you had a session and you think that wasn't quite it, the way I would have loved it to be. So what is it that causes you that little niggle? What can you do even better? And just to take a moment to reflect. And I know there were some comments at the start which kind of feed into this as part of your intention. And to be more specific, what is it that you would really love in doing even better? Yes. Okay, so really good one. Releasing attachment to the outcome. Nice. So when clients are crying, what do we say? All right, so lots of good stuff here. Okay, so I'm going to use what it is that you want to transform as a starting point to this exploration. Okay, if there's something that comes through to say at some point, personally, I will, but otherwise, I will tailor it to whatever you are bringing to the table. So let's start with the comment about wanting particular outcome, this attachment to outcome, getting clients these amazing results, right? We all want that. Of course, we want the best for our clients. But what you think is the best for a client is not necessarily what client's subconscious mind thinks. This is a process of co-creation. It can be so easy to come in and say, oh, you need to get this outcome. Or perhaps the client says it and we really effort and labor to achieve that outcome. So there are a few things that are happening here. First of all, your wounded parts can get activated. And tune into your body and your being and see for yourself whether that's true for you. So if you grew up in a family where you had to be a people pleaser, where you had to make sure that everybody else was okay because that was the only way for you to be okay, that part can really come up and try to deliver what the client wants. And from there, it's like our child, our scared inner child, who thinks that if she or he doesn't deliver, then the other person might get cross, disappointed, right? Like, oh my God, somebody disappointed with you. Imagine that. Imagine the effect on the parts of you that could be so frightened of that outcome. And so then we are acting from this wounded place, who is really trying to achieve something, to prove that actually I know what I'm doing. But it's so young, really. To be honest, what the result is a co-creation. Of course, there is your skill and your techniques and your knowledge that you bring to the table. But then there's also client's subconscious mind. And we can't really force things on people's subconscious mind because it's kind of a form of violation. I think the best um, the best example one of my spiritual teachers gave me once, and it really stayed with me. It made so much sense. So imagine that the ground of presence for your client is somewhere here. And here's where we're going to let go from, right? That this is a starting point where we're letting go from. If the ground of presence is here, it's gentle landing, right? It's fairly straightforward for them to release that much. But imagine if the ground of presence is down on the floor and you're letting go from here. It's going to be a big splatter, right? So we can't really rush some of these things. We can want those. We can really imagine the best outcome for the client, but that best outcome is not necessarily what we think. And also, it can open up in so many different ways. It's not a linear process where you do X and then Y happens and then Z happens. It's more mysterious than that. And sometimes people don't necessarily see results, don't see result, and then boom, something big shifts. So it's quite hard to uh, quantify. And so the moment you attach to a particular outcome, you have an agenda, right? So imagine I come to you with an agenda and say, come on, let's do this. Let's shift this. Let's and we mean well, not to be judgy, but there is a pressure. There's immediately pressure on the client that you expect something from them. And imagine if your client is a people pleaser, right? Then they're putting pressure on themselves to deliver this transformation for your sake, even if not for their own. So that this constant co-creation goes between our parts. And what I find that the best outcomes come from when you come from presence. You don't know how things will transpire for that client necessarily in this transformative work. It's got life of its own. There are so many visible and invisible aspects to this process that if we come with an agenda, it creates pressure. And it's hard to let go under pressure. The more you can relax into your role, into the process, into your being, the more relaxation can be in the field, and we let go when we feel safe, relaxed, held. I wonder how this lands with you when you hear me talking about this. Great. Perfect. Okay, thank you. Thank you for the feedback. Okay, so let's see what else we'll play with. Let's talk about clients crying too much. What to say to them to keep them connected. People process in many different ways. I have an old client, bless her. I mean, when she cried, like she really cried. It was very dramatic. It's just how she processes, like it's just her way. It doesn't mean better or worse. I mean, sometimes we can make conclusions that if a client cries, that was a really successful session. And if they don't cry, then it was probably mediocre. I have people who come and don't exhibit much emotion. For others, it comes very easily. Other people laugh. You don't know how people process. It's not really relevant, and it's not our job to comfort them or stop them from crying, or it's okay, just hold space for whatever comes up. So where are you uncomfortable with someone crying? So what gets sort of activated in response to someone crying? And often, if you really sit with your own part that finds it a bit awkward, chances are there is some form of childhood memory or connection where you just felt so helpless. Somebody was crying and you couldn't really help them, or it felt uncomfortable. Mm. Yeah, I mean, I would just be there and let them do their thing and say it's okay to cry. It's just a form of release, right? For some people, they held it all in for so long, and when somebody finally comes and acknowledges them and sees them and are willing to listen, it's like a dam can break, because it's decades of stuff they held back, and it comes in a really big way. Then just let them have it. It's a release. It's not good, not bad. Yeah. So especially if we were told as children not to cry, then somebody crying can feel a bit triggering. Yeah, sometimes people are not able to cry. And again, we need to respect their timing and their process in their own good time. Like there's a very good reason why it's not easy. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to scroll up and see what other. So, good question. How to have a more agendaless energy behind the session? So then the question is, who sets the agenda? Which part of you sets the agenda? Right? Agenda comes often from a sense of insecurity and desire to prove yourself. Because at some level, a part of you, not the whole of you, but a part of you doesn't feel good enough. So then you kind of need to prepare and take people in a particular direction. Now, just to clarify, if you're a coach and you've got a particular coaching plan, etc., that's a different story, right? We're talking about client coming in and they have a particular issue, and then you tune into where to take them. And so then it's different in terms of where you come in with your conscious mind deciding that's what needs to happen. or versus staying present in the moment and listening to what the client says, to the energy of the session. Or sometimes people can message you and say, can we work on X, Y, and Z? And then a week later, you're having a session, but that energy has moved. So you might be kind of having a sort of good agenda. You are trying to do what they asked you to do, but during the session, you realize that actually they're in a different place. That thing has passed, and now they need something else. But because there is this agenda that we're going in this direction, their energy is constantly shifting somewhere else, and you're trying to course correct and get them back on track and move them in that direction, even though the energy of the session is asking for something else. Right? So the key to having an agendaless session is listening. But it's a different kind of listening. It's not necessarily listening to the content. It's listening to the energy, and it's a particular skill. I'm teaching this as part of my practitioner training. I can tell you about that opportunity at the end, but it's a particular skill to listen to what they're actually saying. Because the conscious mind, as you know, I don't know about you, I come into the session and I'm going, and this has happened, and that is happening, and you know, deep breath. So if you just run with whatever is spoken, it can take you there and it can take you there, and it can be a little overwhelming or confusing at times. But when you're really listening to the energy of what's being spoken, you can hear between the lines. So I'm just going to do a divine experiment, just for the fun of it. Just tune into yourself and think of the top 3 issues in your life right now. That what's bothering you big time. Different areas of your life, anything goes. 3 different issues. If you have many issues, you can have 5. There's no limit on that. So then if you're willing to share in the chat, let me know. Let me know what are the 3 most pressing challenges in your life right now. And I'll demonstrate you something, hopefully. Hopefully it works. Let's see. Great, thank you. So I'll just read a couple and I'll do my best to illustrate the point I'm trying to make. So for example, we've got a comment, there's a digestion elimination issue, binge eating at times, and issues with money and career. So if you can just pause, if there is a resonance with these issues for you as well, just pause for a second and take a breath. So there's an issue with digestion, binge eating, money, and career. So for me, the core issue here would be not enough. Right? So the part that goes on binges, it's like there's not enough something. There is a void in me. possibly I don't feel enough, but I want more. I'm hungry. I'm hungry for love. I'm hungry for money. I'm hungry for attention. How does that resonate when you hear that? So what I'm listening to the words. The words matter. But then when you go under and listen to the energy, what it does is that people can come to you with 5 different issues. You listen and you hear the key thread. And then within one session, you can cover 5 different issues. And people get so much more out of it, because when there are patterns that run in your life, they run everywhere. They are not limited to a particular issue. There's a pattern that underpins everything. And oftentimes people come and we deal with the symptoms of the issues and not the cause. So if I tune into that particular example and look at the cause, I'd say that goes right back to the babyhood, where perhaps there wasn't enough nourishment from whether the person was breastfed or whether there was enough nourishment from holding and feeling safe. And so there wasn't enough. Okay. Nice breath. Yeah. Yes, this person says it's true. Avoid present and hungry for other things. So another comment, fulfilled in most areas of my life, not with money. Having abundance is most areas of my life, not finances yet, and not soulmate in physical form yet. Now, I teach love and money often together because those two are so interconnected energetically. If love is not manifest in your life for whatever reason, chances are there is a block. Chances are it goes right back to your origin story, and it blocks money as well. So in this particular case, just tune in for yourself. We'll see if that resonates. But I'd say there's a self-worth issue. Like, do I deserve this? Do I really deserve this? The origin story goes back from conception to that early bonding with mom and dad, any energetic split between the parents and the child. And again, just zooming back into the practitioner training I do, is that that's the method I'm teaching, where I will teach you how to work with clients at that foundational level, where you will learn to help them to release any blocks that are happening in their adult lives from the root, which happens from the moment of conception and to the parental split, to any ancestral trauma. Sometimes we're carrying stuff that's not even ours, sometimes past lives. And so that's the framework that I teach. But the way I teach it, you learn the technique, but you also experience it with a focus on you becoming a powerful healer. Because oftentimes some of the blocks that we're experiencing in stepping into our power as a healer, in terms of receiving the money, allowing abundance in all areas of our lives, come from those foundational places. Yeah. So the person says, yes, resonates. Yeah. That I do not have the best evidence that I am not worthy. Yeah. Okay. Great. Okay, let's just pause. That's a lot. Let's just pause for a second, take a nice breath, regroup. Mm. So when something doesn't show up magically in your life, there is a part of you that believes that's too dangerous for you to have it. Now, that part is very young. That part doesn't necessarily recognize that, yes, more love and money is a good thing. That part might be thinking, well, if I have more money, there will be more expectations, demands, responsibilities on me. That's too much. That's too overwhelming. I can't cope with that. Or if there's love in your life, depending on your past lives, depending on your family story, what if I have this love and then they walk away, they die, something bad happens and I lose it? So it's better for me not to have it because then I don't have to experience the pain of the loss. So whenever you don't have something that you're really working towards, oftentimes there is some deep unconscious fear. And some of it could be from this lifetime, some of it could be past lifetimes, some of it may not be yours, could be just in the ancestral line that you've absorbed and inherited. They say, well, scientists say that we hold up to 7 generations information about them in our DNA. So it's like it's encoded in your system that love is dangerous, for example. Yeah. Sure, Linda, we can have a chat about that. Not a problem at all. Yeah. Okay. So let's take a breath and I'll scroll up and see what else you would like from today. I'm glad that you're enjoying the conversation. I'm loving it too. I'd love to have more of these conversations because it can be such a lonely place, right? Where we are doing our thing and you might have some form of support or supervision, but most of the time we are making this up as we go along. And that's why I feel so passionate about creating practitioner training because we need to learn these things together. Yes, trial and error works, and many of us get there through trial and error, but it just could be so much more held and smooth and contained rather than kind of figuring it out on the go. So from the intentions earlier, somebody says that they would like to be their authentic self with coaching. I think authenticity, it comes in big time, right? When we do what we love and we really like for the other person to appreciate what it is that we do, of course. And if there is any sense of being an imposter or being fake or not quite authentically you, chances are there is some fear of judgment. There's some fear that, well, if they really see all of me, that will be a disaster. That's it, the end of the game, right? So then the question is, what do you judge yourself for? Where do you judge yourself? Because we all do to varying degrees, right? I don't know about your inner critic. Mine can have a heyday at times. It doesn't mean that I go along with it anymore, but it used to block me in the early days where I'd just get a bit of a wobble from time to time. So, and again, sometimes we look at practitioners down the line and think, oh, look at them. They are amazing. We all have very similar starting point, like I feel where I am today is very different to where I was back in 2015 when I was just starting, for example, with Compassion Key and stuff. So it's a organic progression, and comparing yourself unfavorably to others doesn't really serve us. It's like comparing your inside to somebody's outside. You have no idea what's behind the facade, right? But where do you judge yourself? And that would be a good inquiry place, because then you don't have to project that judgment onto a client. So oftentimes we judge ourselves first, and then we imagine that the client would judge us for that. And then we try to shapeshift. Okay, any shapeshifters here? Raise my hand, right? Like, because I grew up in the environment where I had to learn to just be whatever people wanted me to be, right? It wasn't safe. And so if that sense of unsafety or something is still there, it's bound to impact the way you show up with clients and how you deliver what you deliver. And that's why, what I do with the practitioner training is take you back to the root, rewire that nervous system of yours so that those parts don't get activated and don't act out in your work, because that's how you deliver outstanding results, where you can come from your adult and hold the space without this kind of orphanage of wounded children running about, running a havoc, and trying to prove something or find a way to be safe in that environment. So I can see intention for today's class, where somebody asks about learning more about nervous system and how it affects others. So let's talk about that for a minute. So imagine you come to a session and your nervous system, like you're nervous. I mean, early days, I was nervous, hands down. I was nervous coming to a session. It took a while for the confidence to build and to really rest into that. That's the practicing mode. That's when we don't charge and we're still learning. But still, it was there. And looking back, I can see that, okay, there were some flutter and butterflies and not knowing what might happen and how to handle it and all those things. Now, what happens with your nervous system is that you are either going into freeze mode, which is kind of blank out. For some people, it's just like, can't even think of what to say or how to say it. Even things I know, completely blanked out. It could be that you just want to run away, right? Your whole nervous system is activated and you just can't wait for it to be over so that you could just get away from it. Say you might get irritated with something that client does or says, right? Like there's a fight response getting activated. So there are three circuits in your nervous system. There's freeze, fight or flight, or safe. One of those is always on, okay? So you're always in one of those three circuits. So if you don't feel safe in yourself, your nervous system is activated. Now, many people talk about that, and I'm sure you've heard about it, but what is not discussed so much is that when your nervous system is activated, it impacts the nervous system of your client. They are communicating all the time, beyond words. Have you had experience where somebody walks into the room and like atmosphere changes because their nervous system is an activation of sorts. We feel it, we communicate at that level. And so it already has an impact, an effect on the delivery. Right? And their nervous system can respond differently. So, for example, if you are frozen, they might freeze as well. And then there's this really awkward pause where you just don't know what to say. They don't know what to say. Everything feels really painful. And then you want to run away and never do it again. Or perhaps their nervous system, like you freeze and they just want to run away. They find an excuse and just go away. This could be often, especially when we're selling, if we are having an enrollment conversation, right? Like the client just like, right, I'm out of here because we are frozen in this, oh my God, I've got to ask for money. I've got to name my price. Yeah, shock, freeze. Or they might just get cross, or they might get irritated in response to your lack of coming forward. So regulating your nervous system is a game changer, both for the quality of what you deliver and your own sanity. Because if you're in that constant activation, it's unsustainable. It drains your energy. It just kind of makes you exhausted without doing the work, right? So just a little bit connected to that, the comment somebody saying, release anger and frustration that I do not receive more paying clients. Now, if you're in that activated state, you don't even need to say anything to people. They kind of feel it at some unconscious level. And then I don't know about you guys, but my nervous system is very sensitive to people's anger. It's my childhood. Yours may not respond to that way, but I just want to run for my life if somebody's angry with me. I'm working on it a lot, right? Especially if you put it into context of having difficult clients, etc. I don't, thank God, I don't have many experiences of that at all, touch wood. But if I encounter something like that, I really need to work with my nervous system. So it's quite hard. And I know that place so well. Like there's absolutely no judgment. I've been there when I started. Like, come, where are you? Like, I'm offering this amazing thing. Come on, people, right? But it's kind of has the opposite effect. And it's not about them. It's not about clients. It's about here. Like, what did you not get? What it is that you really wanted and couldn't have as a child. It's that child that gets activated, says, nobody wants me, nobody loves me. I am so furious. And from that place, it it's hard. Let's take a breath with that one because it's a tough one. Of course, we get frustrated. Of course. It's not to make wrong what you feel. It's more to be honest with the where it's coming from. Oftentimes, the symptoms, as in, for example, not having paying clients, is a symptom of a deeper issue. And then we can really fixate on the symptom. But until the root of it is healed, the symptom doesn't necessarily shift easily. We can definitely work towards it, manifesting and all those things. Yeah, the great comment that somebody's saying I'm finding that I'm not attracting because part of me finds it draining speaking to people. And it's such an important consideration. It's like sometimes we do what we think we should be doing, and then parts of us that are trying to look after us and our well-being say, actually, no, we're not going to attract anyone because those people are going to come and take that last vestige of energy that I have for myself. So there are a few ways to respond to that, right? First is, how can you resource and nourish yourself in a way that would allow you to hold space for others? So in my experience, oftentimes clients don't come because we actually don't have capacity for them. We think it would be a nice idea, but really don't feel resourced enough. And the second thing is, can you find a way that works for you? Like, what would work for you? Maybe it's a messenger support and not directly talking to them. Maybe it's a different format of delivery where you have pre-recorded things and you're sharing something that you've already done in your own time. So stepping back and getting to know yourself, because until you know yourself, you can't really tailor what you do to suit you. And then that creates resentment and draining energy and all the rest. Yeah. So somebody says, I struggle with people seeing me as being too good. And again, right, um, could create so much pressure. It's like, I have performed at this level, that's it. Like I can't be horrible somehow, you know, like I have to present this golden standard at all times, be perfect. And that can be exhausting as well. But it's a part of you that's generating that pressure. Nobody else is putting that pressure on you. That pressure is inside. Mm. Somebody's saying, from what I was taught, is to be vulnerable with the clients to help them feel safe. Um, I'm not sure I agree. I would say if I went to have some session with somebody and they just had a good cry with me and told me their life story, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Like, it's my time. I want it to be about me. I don't necessarily want you to be vulnerable with me. I want to know that you can hold space for me. And that safety radiates from your being. It's not something that you even say. I want to share my screen and show you. I'm not showing off. I'm just um, sharing something that's present for me. So this is my Compassion Key profile. And if you go through, people write amazing testimonials. And if you go through feedback, what they say is, I felt seen, heard, and safe. It's like that, the core, however many of those you read, those three words will come across pretty much in all that feedback. Why? Because I feel safe in myself. I don't do big preambles. I don't tell stories. I don't, in fact, my nervous system is, it's like I had to adjust to my nervous system. Like if somebody tells a very long story where we can't really dive into it, it used to kind of overwhelm me. And so what I learned is people come and say hello, and I know where we're going. Like I really honed my skill in a sense, but I know myself and I adjusted to what works for me. So I don't do long intros or a chat for them to get, you feel comfortable with yourself. people will feel comfortable with you. Their nervous system will say, they feel safe. I'm safe with them. Yeah. Okay. And there are different approaches and different schools of learning. And, I'm sharing what I do and how I do it and what's true for me. I speak from my experience. I'm sure that there's validity to what other people teach, and there is a particular context to what they're saying. Yeah. In terms of questions to dig deeper, there isn't a formula as such, as far as I'm concerned. Like, you really listen to the energy. Like, if you learn to work with the energy field, again, that's something that I teach, is that then you can hear the energy and respond with a question to that energy, rather than coming up from here and then the brain freezes and you don't know what to ask and you don't know where to go. And that doesn't take us far. Yes, Dimitra, absolutely. Okay, so perhaps it's time for me to tell you a little bit about what I'm offering. I'm doing a 3-month online course starting in September. And what we're going to do is like that. The key purpose of that program is to help you to step into your power as a healer. So that's the primary theme of that container. Because I know that there are a lot of healers out there who have many qualifications and techniques, and they keep learning and they keep growing, and yet they feel like with all the certifications they've done, they're still not good enough, or they can't charge, etc. And so that's one of my intentions. And within that, I will be teaching a particular framework I've developed, where we're looking at the ancestral, karmic, parental imprints and going back to the womb. Because I find that, and most of the time when I work with clients, they come and talk to me about their present day problems. I often see the root in the womb. So even one-to-one, one-off sessions, that womb session that I do is incredible in terms of the results that it gets people, because it goes right to the root of it. Just share my screen for a minute. So you learn the framework. We work on you stepping into your power as a healer, like the identity of a powerful healer, not just doing the thing really well, but also it becomes an identity, right? Because oftentimes we have played so small, it translates into our work. And to rewire your whole identity into somebody who stands in their power, who knows their value, and that takes time. Like, you need to really work with that. And then just looking at the curriculum. So we'll start with, who am I to be a powerful healer? We work with the energy field. Like, we're working really to listen to people's energy. Then I'll teach you the framework, but we will also use that very framework for you to heal your own blocks around becoming a powerful healer. So the same 4-session framework that you will learn to use with other people, we use it on you to step into your power. And then within that, I will also do some coaching on themes that really stop you from stepping into your power, as in money blocks, confidence to speak up. Marketing seems to be like really big sticking point for a lot of healers. And so it's a comprehensive program where we'll really target and tackle things that hold you back. I'll post it in the chat, the link, but I will also share it in the email when I send you the recording. If you join us by 10th of June, by Monday, you can still join my 5-week course on feeling good enough, because so many of our blocks come from unconscious fear that we're not good enough. And then we are reacting to whatever client says. If the client is not happy, we blame ourselves. If the client is not happy, we might get angry, like they didn't understand, they don't value us. If we are scared of something, we go into avoidance, we might be procrastinating, we might be going into perfectionism. Maybe there is some sort of like avoidance tactic, getting numbed down, and whatever strategy we use, getting really ill, getting fatigued. All those are strategies to not go there, because there is a fear. So if you join by 10th of June, you will get a few extra bonuses. So, but the program, the enrollment will still be open after that. It's just if you want to maximize the benefit of, I will send you the recording of our first call we did just on avoidance this past Tuesday. And so you will be able to get a sense of this 5-week container, which could start you now. The training itself will start on 23rd of September. So there's still time for that. But in terms of starting now to really step into that identity, I find that the Good Enough course has been a game changer for me, because I can see where I'm reacting and why, and then I can get to the root of it and deal with the root cause. And rather than sort of wasting energy on blaming others or blaming yourself or going into shutdown and freeze. So, and there are a couple of master classes that are coming up, like longing to belong, because as I said, this being healer can be a bit of a lonely activity. And so for us to feel that sense of belonging, which comes again from our childhoods, would be really beneficial. Any final questions or comments that you'd like to ask, or if there's anything that you want me to clarify, I'm very happy to. I'm really having a blast from having these conversations. I am so immensely grateful that you're joining me for these conversations, that you're participating, asking questions, making comments. I'm really thankful for your openness, participation. Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I mean, our emotions are such a great doorway to everything. It's our growth, right? Like, and sometimes coming to the discomfort of working with clients can be such a beautiful doorway to recognizing where we need to grow, those places that need some attention in us, because they're like mirrors, they're holding mirror to us all the time. And that's such a privilege to be in that position. Yes, thank you, Linda. I hear you. Mm. Thank you for all the comments. I'm so grateful that you've been here with me, exploring this with me. Yeah, great. Thank you so much. And let's just come back in for a second before you go and rush into the next thing. Just let this land and integrate for a second and think about your intention for our time together. And see, perhaps it's been met in full or partially, or there is something else that need you to sit with it. And perhaps the answer will arise in some different form or different, there's a different avenue. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. I love people asking questions. Yes, thank you, Dimitra. Thank you. It's lovely to have you here. Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you all Many blessings to you all, and wishing you all the best with your client work. You are already doing great. We started there. And so just keep growing, keep building. It's not a silver bullet, it's a process of growth. And the more you grow, the more you are able to hold space for others. Blessings to you.